Hi friends, it's Rabbi Briskin with a thought for Shabbat. So as you know, the book of Numbers contains one crisis after another. This week, however, the Israelites and their leaders face some of their greatest challenges. Towards the beginning of Parshat Chukat, we learn in one very brief verse that Miriam dies. Furthermore, the Israelites are without water, and so they gather against Moses, once again crying, "Why have you brought us out into the wilderness to die?" God tells Moses to speak to a rock which will yield water. However, Moses strikes the rock with his staff instead of speaking to it. And although water flows, Moses is punished for disobeying God's direct and specific order to speak to the rock. He and his brother Aaron, who was a bystander in this story, are told by God that because of their disobedience, they will die in the wilderness before entering the promised land. Shortly thereafter, Aaron dies. As the Israelites wander, and as Moses leads them without his brother and sister by his side, they face one hostile nation after another, who won't let them pass through their territory safely. Eventually, however, they make it to the threshold of the promised land, their journey having come to an inglorious end. The episode with the rock had a transformative effect on the entire Israelite community. They begin to grow as an independent people. They could not march forward without facing hostile nations. Behind them was a vast desert. An entrance to the promised land was geographically near, yet psychologically still far away. A vast change in the leadership of the community was beginning to take place. Not only was Moses and Aaron's punishment decreed, the people were now developing a new and more personal relationship with God. And soon they would have a new leader, Joshua. Miriam, who dies toward the beginning of the portion, is associated with water. Midrash teaches that a mystical well followed Miriam and the Israelites so that wherever they were, their thirst was quenched. When she died, however, the water source died with her, and so now it was up to the people to provide for themselves. Miriam's death and the decree against Moses and Aaron required a shift within the Israelites. They now needed to develop their own close and personal relationship with God. Without Moses mostly, and Aaron and Miriam secondarily being intermediaries. They would also need to learn to protect and care for themselves. Parshat Chukat begins the next stage in the development of this new generation, born into freedom in the wilderness. They are no longer beholden to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. It is up to them to create their own covenant, to find holiness in their new and their own relationship with God. Jewish clergy today are not necessarily intermediaries between God and the people. Rather, we are facilitators. We help a person connect to God as their relationship with God continually evolves. We help people overcome obstacles and make it across their vast desert wilderness, a process that, with an open mind, they can come to on their own. We may lose our proverbial water sources at some point. However, with our own faith and resolve, and perhaps with a guide to help us along the way, we can strengthen our relationship and make it to our promised land, with God always by our side. Shabbat Shalom.